Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here for our routine weekly briefing. I will cover the period today, Thursday, May 8th through Wednesday of next week. I'm meteorologist Andrew Kren with the Weather Service here in Raleigh. Key points for the next several days. Today, we have a severe risk for scattered showers and storms, as well as tomorrow. Today, we have kind of a trough that's going to be forcing scattered showers and storms that looks to kind of merge into potentially a line of storms developing late this afternoon, early this evening. With that, as I'll talk about a little bit in more detail later, a slight risk is in place for kind of the western part of central North Carolina, and also a marginal risk for the rest of central North Carolina for straight line winds and large hail. Tomorrow, we'll have an actual cold front moving south, and that will again spawn additional scattered showers and storms. Best chance tomorrow likely will be along US 1 east, especially with the severe threat. Over the weekend, it looks like most of the period over the weekend is going to be dry. Certainly cannot rule out some light rain across our southern counties, southern Piedmont, Sand Hills, southern coastal plain. But as we get into early next week, there's broad consensus in a lot of the guidance that a slow-moving storm system is going to bring widespread rain, potentially even some embedded storms, late Sunday through midweek. If I had to pin it down on a time frame, it looks like it's roughly centered on Monday and Tuesday, but certainly things may move in slightly earlier across our west Sunday night and maybe linger into Wednesday and potentially Thursday. But Monday and Tuesday, essentially Monday and Tuesday looks like the wetter period next week. So with that, we have certainly a lot of QPF over the next 5 days and even the next 7 days. Today, within storms, they'll have certainly potential upwards of an inch, but outside of the stronger storms, a broad area of a quarter to half an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch, US 1 west, and lower amounts as you get towards the coastal plain and along the coast of the Outer Banks. Then on Friday, tomorrow, highest QPF along and east of US 1. As I discussed earlier, where kind of the front will favor more of our eastern areas tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday, you can kind of see that Saturday will be mostly dry, mainly some stuff in the far south, mostly confined to South Carolina. On Sunday, shows some slightly higher QPF. Again, that includes Sunday into early Monday. So I do think as we get into Monday, that's going to be our higher chance. And that's what we see here on Monday for the plot there on the bottom in the center, roughly anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain over a broad swath of the state expected. So for today, we do have that level 2 risk. That slight risk from the morning update, which was around 10 o'clock, did expand the slight a little further east. And then the marginal is pretty much the entire area. There is a very, pretty much a confined area of large hail and damaging winds as the main threat with these storms this afternoon and evening. Roughly a time frame is looking anywhere from 4 or 5 p.m. in the west, and then those storms will kind of accelerate and race east late this evening, mid to late evening, I should say, kind of reaching the coastal plain around 11-ish p.m. Storms will certainly still be possible overnight, but I think between about 4 or 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. is kind of when that main severe risk is going to be. I think initially it'll probably start out as large hail across the triad western Piedmont, and then sort of merge into more of a straight line damaging wind threat as it gets closer to the triangle, parts of the northern sandhills, and eventually the central southern coastal plain. I'm going to get more in specifics on timing after this particular slide, but I did want to point out we do have that severe risk again tomorrow. Marginal everywhere as it stands right now. Damaging winds and hail, the primary threat again tomorrow, and I think if I was to confine it tomorrow, probably US 1 East will probably be the greater threat, but certainly couldn't rule out some stuff in the northern coastal plain tomorrow. So here's kind of a rough timing. Here's some rough timing on when we would expect the storms kind of to progress and kind of evolve as we go through this evening. So looking at some future radar simulations here, anywhere from 5 to 6 p.m. is kind of when storms will probably get popping across the triad. I do want to point out that these are simulations and they could be potentially an hour or two on either side sooner or slightly later, but there seems to be a broad consensus anywhere from around 5-ish in the triad. And then those storms that will probably be more scattered in nature, probably become more numerous and kind of merge between 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, progressing into the triangle region anywhere from between 8 and 10 o'clock this evening. There's been a pretty consistent signal that we could see some damaging winds kind of on somewhere in the triangle region, somewhere in maybe the southern Piedmont and parts of the Sandhills. So that's kind of the area we'll probably be watching later this afternoon and evening. And then by 11 to midnight tonight, I think the severe threat will probably start to wane, although scattered storms, heavy rain will still be around, especially into the early overnight hours, 3 to 4 a.m. Friday. You can still see that there will still probably be some activity around across our southern counties, probably be more in the way of heavy rainfall by that stage. But certainly couldn't rule anything else out at that time, but I think our main severe window will probably be waning after 11 o'clock tonight. So we do have, today we have an excessive rainfall. Right now it's confined across mostly our Piedmont counties, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's slightly shifted to maybe expand most of the area, or maybe our southern and eastern counties. As we go into early next week, I did talk about that slow-moving storm system. We are in a slight risk of excessive rain next week, Monday, and so that's pretty much most of the area. Would not be surprised if that kind of expands into the area as well on Tuesday. This is currently a day 5 outlook, so we'd have to wait until tomorrow for that update, but certainly wouldn't be surprised if that heavy rainfall threat lingers into Tuesday. Additionally, this is Hurricane Awareness Week, and today the theme is stay protected during storms. So always stay in your safe place from water and the wind. Have a way to receive those alerts and forecast updates. Listen to local officials and avoid travel unless ordered to evacuate. Drought update for this week, which was updated on Tuesday, did show improvements. So main takeaway is that we see a 1 category improvement from the rainfall in the last week. Still, we have some moderate drought across the western Piedmont and portions of the foothills of the state. And then some severe drought still lingers along the coastal plain and closer to just inland of the coast. If we get the additional rain these next couple days, as well as next week, we will probably see additional improvements by next Tuesday. 8 to 14 day outlook. Largely, we're expecting, after having a wet period into early next week, Looks like we're going to start to dry out and favor below normal precipitation, and with that, above normal temperatures expected. Graphical hazardous weather outlook. Not much to really add to what I had previously mentioned, but the severe risk today and tomorrow, excessive rainfall today and Monday, and obviously main threats for the severe wind and hail. So weather summary, we do have the scattered showers and storms that will likely congeal into a line of storms late this afternoon and continue into mid to late evening hours. Slight risk in place for straight line winds and large hail. Main timing for the severe between about 4 or 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. Additional storms on Friday, especially over our eastern areas. We're drying out for most of the period Saturday, Sunday, and then widespread rain developing late Sunday through midweek, mostly confined to that Monday and Tuesday period for the heaviest rainfall.